We are always slow in admitting any great change of which we do not see the intermediate steps. If everyone were cast in the same mold, there would be no such thing as beauty. Intelligence is based on how efficient a species became at doing the things they need to survive. Free will is to mind what chance is to matter. Much love, much trial, but what an utter desert is life without love. It is impossible to conceive of this immense and wonderful universe as the result of blind chance or necessity. It's not the strongest, but the most adaptable that survive. Even people who aren't geniuses can outthink the rest of mankind if they develop certain thinking habits. There is no fundamental difference between man and animals in their ability to feel pleasure and pain, happiness and misery. Great is the power of steady misrepresentation, but the history of science shows that fortunately this power does not long endure. A man who dares to waste 1 hour of time has not discovered the value of life. A man's friendships are one of the best measures of his worth. Ignorance more frequently begets confidence than does knowledge. The very essence of instinct is that it's followed independently of reason. I cannot persuade myself that a beneficent and omnipotent God would have designedly created parasitic wasps with the express intention of their feeding within the living bodies of caterpillars. An American monkey, after getting drunk on brandy, would never touch it again, and thus is much wiser than most men. If the misery of the poor be caused not by the laws of nature, but by our institutions, great is our sin. The mystery of the beginning of all things is insoluble by us, and I for one must be content to remain an agnostic. I love fools' experiments. I am always making them. A scientific man ought to have no wishes, no affections, a mere heart of stone. I have tried lately to read Shakespeare, and found it so intolerably dull that it nauseated me. The highest possible stage in moral culture is when we recognize that we ought to control our thoughts. To kill an error is as good a service as, and sometimes even better than, the establishing of a new truth or fact. My mind seems to have become a kind of machine for grinding general laws out of large collections of facts. I have steadily endeavored to keep my mind free so as to give up any hypothesis, however much beloved, and I cannot resist forming one on every subject, as soon as facts are shown to be opposed to it. Man tends to increase at a greater rate than his means of subsistence. What a book a devil's chaplain might write on the clumsy, wasteful, blundering, low, and horribly cruel work of nature. False facts are highly injurious to the progress of science, for they often endure long, but false views, if supported by some evidence, do little harm, for everyone takes a salutary pleasure in proving their falseness. On the ordinary view of each species having been independently created, we gain no scientific explanation. How paramount the future is to the present when one is surrounded by children. Man is descended from a hairy-tailed quadruped, probably arboreal in its habits. We can allow satellites, planets, suns, universe, nay, whole systems of universes to be governed by laws, but the smallest insect we wish to be created at once by special act. I am turned into a sort of machine for observing facts and grinding out conclusions. It is a cursed evil to any man to become as absorbed in any subject as I am in mine. I have called this principle, by which each slight variation, if useful, is preserved, by the term of natural selection. Nature cares nothing for appearances except insofar as they are useful to any being. How fleeting are the wishes and efforts of man, how short his time. An organic being is a microcosm, a little universe formed of a host of self-propagating organisms. Truly, the schemes and wonders of nature are illimitable. With highly civilized nations, continued progress depends in a subordinate degree on natural selection.